So we have now had the first leg of the playoff semi-finals, and they didn't disappoint, did they? They were full of drama, which we're going to be talking about in today's video. As well as that, we're also going to be predicting the outcome of the second leg, and I want to know from you guys, who do you think is going to make it to Wembley and to the final? So get your score predictions in the comments down below for how you see the second legs going. We got Brentford up against Swansea on Wednesday, and then Fulham going up against Cardiff on Thursday. And speaking about your score predictions, I will include them on screen now, so fair play to everyone who did get one of their score predictions correct for the playoff semi-final first legs. It's always a difficult one, you know, when you've only got 2 games to predict. None of my scorelines were correct, but I was sort of on the right lines with saying that I thought that both games would be fairly low scoring ones. They usually are a little bit more cagey in the first leg, and hopefully in the second leg we'll see a few more goals being scored. So if you think you're going to enjoy today's video, guys, make sure to leave a like. But without any further ado, let's hop into these score predictions. And so starting out with Brentford going up against Swansea tomorrow night. Now, I'd love to get your guys' opinions on what you made of the first leg. Swansea had the advantage going into this one at Griffin Park, leading by 1-0. Now, it was quite the interesting game. It had a bit of controversy about it as well. Obviously, the Rico Henry red card, but we'll get onto that in a second. For the first half, the game was sort of balanced. Both sides had good chances. Brentford, as they usually do, you know, individual talent comes through, and they were able to pick up in those little pockets of space. Ben Rama had one particular run where he waltzed his way past 3 or 4 Swansea players. He just couldn't quite get a shot on target. That one got blazed over the bar. Ollie Watkins was getting in some very good areas as well. He was drifting off players, had a few headers that just went wide, and Beamer was looking dangerous. Rico Henry making those overlapping runs was also providing a threat. But Swansea as well, they gave it a good go in the first half. Brewster had a very good chance. AU had one which came off the post, but the second half was when things really clicked into gear. Swansea had the penalty. AU couldn't convert it. Not the best penalty in the end. Obviously, it was given for the foul on Brewster. It was Pontus Jansson sort of falling back. He just dangled his leg out, and Brewster went over. Like I say, though, it was a decent height for David Ray, but a good save nonetheless. And then the red card is the controversial point of the match. Now, when I was watching this, to be honest, at the time, you know, in live action, I thought it was a red card, but after seeing the replay, it was a bit of a bad decision, wasn't it? Let's be real. And that has now been rescinded, so Rico Henry will be available for the second leg. But even so, that there's no, you know, questioning that had an effect on the game after this, because Swansea, absolutely brilliant after Brentford went down to 10 men. Brentford were very much after that point looking to hold on. You know, they were taking the 0-0 at that point to take that back to Griffin Park. It's something to build upon. But Swansea were going at them, and they were working they had some really nice passages of play, I have to say. Really impressed with Swansea in their second half. They dominated the ball, and to be honest, obviously they eventually got the goal. It was a brilliant one by AU, but they could have had more goals than that if we're being real, couldn't they? So Brentford in the end to come away with that man down, to only lose 1-0, not the worst result in the world for them. But like I say, Swansea playing some great football, and the goal itself was absolutely marvellously worked. The chip from Gallagher, absolutely fantastic, and then the smashing finish from AU made up for the penalty miss, didn't it? But now we head into the second leg at Griffin Park. How are things going to change for this one? Well, for one thing, you'd expect Brentford to be a lot more expressive in this one going forward. You know, they need the goals, and I'm interested to see how Swansea pick them off, because you'd expect Swansea to be really quite resilient at the back and look to pick their moments to go forward on the counter-attack, which they did in the first half, I thought, quite well in this one. You know, Brewster had a couple of opportunities to get in behind. That's where Brentford are going to have to be really cautious about this Swansea side, as to how fast they can break. And I think above all else, really, Brentford just need to be patient with this one. They can't, they don't want to force it, because when Brentford are at their best, it's when they pull opposition players around, you know, little gaps open naturally, and they're able to exploit those areas. They just didn't quite have that final product in the first leg, but at Griffin Park, we all know Brentford have been absolutely dazzling throughout the season. And, you know, we do question about momentum and things like that. You know, now Brentford have lost their last 3 matches. Are they going to be able to bounce back in this one at Griffin Park? I do see there being more goals scored in this one. I think it's going to end up being a more open game of football, especially if Brentford do get an early goal in this one. It's set up for a really interesting one with Swansea winning the first leg, isn't it? In terms of how I myself see this one going, for a score prediction, I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford, which then takes it into extra time and then penalties, of course, which I think there's got to be one penalty shootout in either of these 2 matches, hasn't there? There's always drama like that in the playoffs. So I think that Brentford may get through this one 2-1, but obviously that then leads to extra time. And then going into extra time, then I'm not sure if either side's going to have it in them to fully go for it. I think it would be a very cagey 30 minutes, and then going towards penalties, I think I may just edge towards Brentford. I think they may get their mojo back in this one. Thomas Frank has been very confident, you know, in the press building up to this second leg, hasn't he? Considering that Brentford have lost their last 3 games, he is speaking very highly about his team at the moment, like you'd expect, really, but Swansea, they're not going to make it easy for them, but I do see this one going towards penalties and edging it just, I'm going to say Brentford. So I'm going to go 2-1 on the night, 2-2 in aggregate towards a penalty shootout. I mean, that would be the drama of the playoffs, wouldn't it? It would be something else. FIFA has backed Swansea to get the job done convincingly, winning this one by 3 goals to 1, 4-1 in aggregate. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you see happening in the second leg? And then heading into the second game, we've got Fulham going up against Cardiff. Now the first leg, absolutely excellent from Fulham. I was actually back in Cardiff for this first leg, and they started off quite well, the home side in this one. They had a couple of early chances. Rodak made a very good save, and Michael Hector making a goal line clearance on the line to deny Glatzel a goal. He had another chance which was well saved by Rodak as well. Rodak, by the way, one of the best goalkeepers in the league this season. But as the game went on, Cardiff just couldn't find that goal early on, and Fulham did start to grow into the game. But the interesting thing coming into this one was the team news. There was no Mitrovic for Fulham. I'm sure all the Fulham fans were a bit nervy going into this one when they saw that. But to be fair to them, their record without him, despite him being the league's top scorer and an elite striker at this level, Fulham have actually done really well without Mitrovic this season. They had that 3-game suspension when he was out. They won all 3 of those matches, and in this one it was a fluid, forward line they were playing. Bobby Reed making those runs, dipping back. Cabano was excellent on the wing. Josh Onoma picking up in those pockets of space as well. And speaking about Josh Onoma into the second half, I don't think any Cardiff fan would disagree. Fulham were just the better side in the second half of this one. The Josh Onoma goal was an absolute joke. I mean, we spoke about it in the preview to this game. Fulham probably have like the most game-winning players in their squad. They just have these players who are capable of producing these moments of quality, and the goal itself was just something else. The way he just waltzes his way past 3 or 4 Cardiff defenders and then slots it into the back of the net. The celebrations as well shows how tight-knit this group is at the moment with Scott Parker. He's got all the players on side. It was a fantastic goal, and coming off from that, Cabano then wraps it up for them late on with the free kick in the 91st minute. Now the controversy about this one was Neil Harris wasn't happy at full time about the free kick actually being given, because Cardiff had a very similar one earlier on in the game which wasn't given for a foul on Glatzel. I think Michael Hector on him. So there is an argument there to be made, and I think that consistency among referees in the EFL is not exactly their strong point, is it? So I can see where Neil Harris has come from there, but nevertheless it's a fantastically taken free kick from Cabano, who we also mentioned in the last video, in fantastic form at the moment. I think that's now 4 goals in his last 3 matches. He really has come into form in this tail end of this season. But going into the second leg at Craven Cottage, it's not game over, I don't think, but the first goal is absolutely crucial for this one. I think if Fulham score first, I can't see Cardiff getting back into this one. They're going to have to be so disciplined, because I'm interested to see how Fulham approach this one. If Mitrovic is back 100% fit, Fulham fans, would you bring him back into the starting 11 for this one? Would you rest him again? Would you keep him on the bench just in case things start to get a little bit nervy towards the end? Because, like I say, I thought it was a really fluid performance from Fulham's attack in this one, and it's not game 1, but if you're resting him for the final, then you'd think he'd be really sharp should you make it. Cardiff did have their moments going forward early on. It just wouldn't quite fall for them. They need those moments to go in the second leg. Those 2 chances that Glatzel has, they both need to go into the back of the net in this second leg. Now, Fulham's not exactly the easiest side to go up against when you are chasing a game as well, because of how well they like to keep the ball. They can be very frustrating. Michael Hector was one player in the first leg who I was really impressed with. I think he's had a fantastic impact on this Fulham side since he has come in, but he dealt with the presence of someone like Glatzel really well in his first leg, and in the second leg he's going to look to do a similar number on him. I think you could also maybe make an argument for the 2 Cardiff centre halves maybe a little bit more comfortable marking a player like Mitrovic than they would someone like a Bobby Reed, who's got a little bit more movement about him. He's a little bit tougher, drops into those spaces and links up really well with those around him. There's no doubt that Mitrovic is like the best striker at this level, but it's a different game plan when Fulham are without him, and I find it interesting nonetheless. For a score prediction for the second leg, I think I'm feeling another 2-1. I do think that Fulham will get the job done. I'm going to go 2-1 Fulham in this one. I think that Cardiff may get a goal, but Fulham going forward I think will have too much for them in the end. They have those individuals going forward who can produce those moments of quality like we saw in the first leg. It may be a similar game where Cardiff just look to go for it early on, and if Fulham can withstand that early pressure, I think they may come through this one with the quality they have going forward. But I'm very interested to see what the outcome is with Mitrovic. So I'm going to back Fulham for this one. I'm going to say 2-1. FIFA's going to say that it will be a goalless draw. So both myself and FIFA are backing Fulham to get into the final. We'll see if Cardiff can turn it around. I mean, like I say, it's the Championship playoffs. Expect the unexpected. Nothing is over yet, but it is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for Cardiff in this one. Guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you see happening in this game? It's going to be an interesting one on Thursday night. But guys, there you have it. There are my Championship predictions for what I see happening in the playoff semi-final second leg. So get all your thoughts in the comments down below. First of all, as to what you made of the games that went on over the weekend and your score predictions for the second leg. So if my predictions do come true, we will have a West London derby as the playoff final. Brentford up against Fulham. But to be honest, I'm still a little bit on the fence about that Swansea-Brentford game. I'm very interested to see the outcome of that one. But hey, we'll see. It's the Championship playoffs. Expect the unexpected. But guys, if you did go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. It was massively appreciated. And please do subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.